I tested my lactate threshold 4 different ways: lab test, field test, race data / online calculators, and my gut from easy runs. And guess what? They all told me something different, but one of them was the absolute truth. Which one do you think it was? In this episode, I'm doing a shootout of sorts, ranking the 4 most common ways runners estimate their lactate threshold. Again, lab test, field test, race data / online calculators, and my gut from easy runs. And I'll be doing them from the least accurate and most generic to the most precise, but probably impractical for 90% of runners. I'll work through what actually worked for me after testing everything, and if you get to the middle, I'll give you a free download so you can figure out your own lactate threshold and an 8-week sub-threshold training plan so you can improve your own threshold. I'm Darren D. Lake, run coach, sub 3-hour marathon, a 10-hour Ironman finisher, and for the last 30 years or so, I've been experimenting on myself, talking to experts, and researching how I can get 1% better each day so I can help 10,000 more self-coach runners just like you cut through the internet noise and live a better run life. Let's get into it. What is threshold and why does it matter for runners? I do a deep dive in a full episode about threshold. You can go to it right up here or in the show notes or video description below. But here's a quick TLDR. Lactate threshold is your sustainable running ceiling, the maximum pace you can hold for 45 to 60 minutes without crashing and burning. It's crucial because you're already using it in races from, I'd say, 5K, 10K, definitely, to marathon, and it's your sweet spot for getting faster efficiently. Think of your muscles like water on a stove. Zone 2 is a gentle simmer. Threshold is the water bubbling quite a lot, and there's a lot of activity going on. And VO2 max, and anything faster, is the water boiling over and then the pasta getting all over the stove, and now you got a big mess that you got to clean up. Why it matters: without knowing your threshold, you will either push too hard and bonk and hit the wall, or run too conservatively and waste potential and not run your best time. So if threshold is that important, how do you find it without a lab coat and a science degree? Here are the 4 most common ways that runners estimate their threshold. I'll be ranking these from worst to best and using 2 different scores. One score is accuracy for how close you can get it to your threshold, and the next score is practicality for how easy it is to do, as you most likely aren't pro and you can't do some of these sort of threshold tests. All right, coming in at number 4 of 4. Again, we're going backwards. Zone 2 MAF gut guessing, aka the IMAT, individual maximum aerobic threshold formula, IMAT, your gut based on random easy run data. This is a classic starting point for all runners. I started here too. You run slow, you breathe through your nose, you keep your form clean, your heart rate low. You start now, or you go for a hard run. You don't know what really hard runs are because you just started and you're breathing hard, etc. And you're like, oh, that's my race pace. You can also use the IMAT method, which was made popular by Mike Trees, who I've had co-host episodes with me. You can check some of those out if you go back into the back catalog. The idea with all the Zone 2, Maffetone, and IMAT kind of easy running formulas and frameworks, they keep things easy and clean, and your body builds a strong aerobic base. So that's like 80% easy, 20% hard. It's great for beginners, again, or people rebuilding. But here's a little bit of truth. It took me a while to get. It doesn't tell you your threshold. It tells you how chill your easy runs are. It's a different problem, different solution. Pros to using the easy running framework: it's intuitive. It's easy to implement, build body awareness. Obviously, you also build aerobic base, which you need to run faster. And the cons: it's probably 10 to 20 BPMs off of your true threshold. And most people outgrow it fast, when you want to get really specific and not blow up your next race and not mess up your next race. Because usually sometimes at the end of a race, you might be like, oh, I had so much more in the tank, I should have gone faster earlier. It's because you really didn't know exactly how to race it and pace it because you didn't know your threshold. So I'd score this at an accuracy of 4 out of 10, practicality 9 out of 10. Number 3, online calculators and or using race, time trial, or workout data into the online calculators. So this feels lab sciencey with algorithms, but realistically has more bro science vibes happening. And it's because it feels like it's accurate. So to do it, you just plug your half marathon time into a website. VDOT calculator is what I use, and I did a whole episode on this up here or link below in the video description or in the show notes. And boom, threshold pace, heart rate, zones, race pacing, etc. It feels and seems smart, but here's what's hiding under the hood. These calculators assume your race was perfectly paced on a flat course in ideal weather, which it probably wasn't. Also, these only give you external metrics. So external are the ones that are out of control: pace, heart rate's external and not internal effort. And that's a problem if you're a self-coached runner who trains solo or doesn't race often because you don't know what's going on. The pros to this, it's fast, it's free, and it's frictionless. And the cons, it's built on assumptions. It can be way off if your race data is messy and wrong. Let's say you went too hot and heavy. Let's say your GPS was off. Then that data that you're putting in is not clean, and then it's going to give you a whole bunch of frameworks and times and paces that can be way off. I'm going to score this with an accuracy of 6.5 out of 10 and a practicality of 8 out of 10. Here's a solution to this gap. So at this point, you might be thinking, okay, calculators are convenient, but they're not personalized. And zone 2 formulas and, Maffetone stuff, all that, they're just a guess. That's exactly why I built a free sub-threshold plan. Actually, it's the threshold bundle. It walks you through a simple field test, no lab required. It shows you how to do it. It shows you how to read it. You'll find your actual threshold and learn how to train just under it, where all the aerobic and slight anaerobic gains will stack up. The link is at the QR code, or you can hit the link below in the video description or in your audio podcast show notes. Bonus, you'll get my weekly 5-minute newsletter in your email inbox. You'll get real world tips on VO2 max, sprints, long runs, and the mental game, mental strength, mental fitness, all in less time than it takes to warm up. You can actually read it while you're warming up. All right, let's get back to the episode. Coming in at number 2, field testing, 20-minute time trial-ish. It's more like 30 to 40. This is what I use and what I recommend to most runners. You warm up, you run hard for about 20-ish minutes, and you record your average heart rate based on percentage of those minutes, and you multiply that by 0.95, and that's your threshold. Feels very mathy, but actually it's not. It's pretty easy. It's not perfect, but it's surprisingly very accurate. I've been doing it for years, and I've been hearing and seeing from run and exercise scientists how accurate this field test actually is compared to a lab test. And most importantly, you can repeat it over and over again. That's consistency. That's what we need. So you can retest every month or two and actually track your progress. But the key is you're using your body and not just a formula to get the answer. Pros, it's pretty accurate if you use a high quality heart rate monitor. So get the arm strap or chest strap. Do not use your optical watch-based heart rate, as those are very, very inaccurate. And again, another pro is that it's consistent and it's empowering because you actually are running at race pace. A con takes effort and pacing practice. It's not fun. It's not fun. Like it's quite, you're just like, it's a bit of that like suffering, but you mentally will get tougher from it. I'll score that with accuracy of 8 out of 10 and a practicality of 9 out of 10. And number 1, lactate plus VO2 max. So if you can get the VO2 max test done when you do lactate, that is a bonus. But just do a lactate test because most places don't do it. So this is how it works. You'll go over the protocol, get briefed by the scientist, the guy running the test. You get pricked with sharp needles and you bleed a bit. You run on a treadmill with the incline ramped up while a stranger yells faster every few minutes. You got this, go, go, go. And you pay 150 to 250 USD to suffer. More obviously if it's Australian or other currencies. It's legit. You get data on your LT1. So that's lactate threshold 1, which is your aerobic threshold, aka high zone 2. So you actually can go, oh, is my Maffetone or whatever, my zone 2 that I've been working on, accurate with my LT1 from the blood test, from the lab test. And you also get your LT2, lactate threshold number 2, which is anaerobic threshold, which is usually where you should be racing for about that 45 minutes to an hour. You also, if you want to do the VO2 max test at the same time like I did, you get your VO2 max. You will in the lactate threshold test get some numbers around where your zone 3, zone 4, and zone 5 are. So you can actually incorporate those for VO2 max training. But if you can do the mask at the same time as getting the finger pricked, it's way more accurate data. You'll also get training suggestions from the expert running the tests. And if you're prepping for a serious race or you just want to validate what you already know with proper heart rate zones, boom, you got that from the lactate threshold test. I think it's perfection, but for most runners, including myself, it's overkill. You don't need 97% accuracy if you're not training at 80% consistency. Yes. Think about that, because being consistent in your training is way better in the long run than having the test. The pros, super precise. Best full zone map of everything. The cons, it's expensive. It's hard to access at times, and it's not repeatable. Easy, you have to go to the lab. You have to pay the money. You have to do the test. You have to be rested up, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to score this at accuracy 9.5 out of 10 and the practicality at 4 out of 10. So it's best used to confirm, not to begin. So yeah, the lab test nailed it, but what if you already had the answer without knowing it? When I tried all of them. So I tested every single method, lab test, field test, race data, online calculators, and my gut. And you know what surprised me? They all landed within a few BPMs and beats of each other. This is the heart rate. I know years of self-experimenting, racing, and tracking all my data had calibrated my gut to the point where the lab just confirmed what I already knew. That doesn't happen overnight, but if you train consistently, use good tools, and check your ego, you can build the accuracy without ever stepping into a lab. So again, if you want the shortcut to testing and training your thresholds without the lab coat, grab the sub-threshold training plan and the whole lactate threshold bundle at the link, the QR code here, or link below, or in the show notes. It includes how to do the field test, 8-week training block to build aerobic power, 5-minute weekly newsletter, and a whole lot of other good stuff. So now that you know your threshold, how do you actually train it the right way? That's where tempo runs come in. Everyone's heard of them, but warning, most people are doing them absolutely wrong. Go hear it because I unpack the truth about tempo runs and how to use them without frying your system, or open up the show notes in your podcast player's app if you're listening. Peace.